You've probably seen this guy trying to live forever.
Probably the craziest thing he's doing is he's trading blood with his son to make him younger.
This week we're talking about Bryan Johnson and all the tactics he's doing to use himself as a lab rat to figure out what human health could look like at its peak.
I like him.
I think he looks weird. This is a comedy podcast, so if you're interested in the topic and you're just finding us because of that, just so you know, we're going to learn about the stuff, we're going to talk about the stuff, but we joke around the whole time. So if that makes you angry, like and subscribe and comment because we love that stuff.
Hey, it's February 18th.
Yes, it is. My birthday is this weekend. So I'm so excited to be 31, to be established in my 30s. And because 30 feels like, oh, you just turned it. You just got here. Yeah. 31 is like,
it's all downhill from here. I'm
not going to die, though. According to Bryan Johnson. Next weekend, February 28th, March 1st, and March 2nd, I'm in the Chicago area. I'm in like Eagan, Aurora, Colorado, and then another place that I'm sure you can find. Not
Aurora, Colorado.
Aurora, Illinois. Sorry, yeah. Eagan, Aurora, somewhere else in the Chicago area. It's on my website somewhere, jaronmyers.com/shows. Please come to shows. I'd love to see you there. I'd love to laugh in person. That's the whole reason we do this. I swear, if you send me a message and you're like, I didn't even know you were in my area, that's fully your fault at this point. Okay? I've told you 6 times.
Yep.
Don't die.
Hey, man.
What's up?
Have you ever heard of Bryan Johnson?
I don't want to talk about that freaky gecko.
Calling him a freaky gecko is it?
Dude, that guy looks like a cave salamander. You know what I'm talking about? Those ones that never see the sun. Those caves. And he's always wet. Why is he always wet, dude? Why is he always just drenched? Is that the secret to living to 120? Is just never dry?
Freaky gecko.
Yeah, that's his phrase, dude. Never dry, never die. This guy's going to live forever, dude. He's always freaking wet and slimy and weird. Every single time I see this guy on social media, he takes a year from my life and he adds it to his. I hate this guy.
Freaky gecko is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
I don't want to talk about him.
So accurate.
I don't want to talk about him.
How accurate it is.
Unless you're pivoting and talking about Bethel's Bryan Johnson. Which I would also accept.
No, it's actually, honestly, oddly familiar story.
Okay, are we talking about the guy?
Yes. Yeah. Here's the thing. Have you watched his documentary yet?
No, I refuse to look at him.
He does look like a freaky gecko. I hate how accurate that is. Okay. So, Bryan Johnson, if you don't know, you probably have seen him somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe we can throw I don't know.
Hopefully he's still alive by the time of this recording. That's the whole thing. This guy's trying to live to 200, right? That's his goal?
Well, he's trying not to die. His whole thing is don't die.
He doesn't want to die at all. He doesn't want to die at all. But
which honestly, super cool thing. Like don't die just being on all your merch is pretty sick. It's hard. But I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I was like you. I saw Bryan Johnson and I was like, this white gecko is so weird. And after researching him, I might be a Bryan Johnson fan. But let me
I can't wait to see how this ages. I can't wait to see how this ages.
I was like, let me be cautious about this.
We released an episode about Elon Musk, and the episode opens with, hey guys, we're talking about really cool guy Elon Musk. That's what Timothy Stone, father of this child that doesn't exist yet. That's what Tim Stone said about Elon Musk.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got to be cautious here.
Really cool guy. Super cool guy. Love him.
I got to be cautious here. Because
another really pale white guy who looks wet all the time.
That is true. He does look wet. But he's not like a gecko. He's like, because he's got that weird stomach thing.
Yeah.
He's like a koala or something.
No. He looks like a naked mole rat for sure.
That's actually accurate. No, here's the thing.
But not like a real one. He looks like the animated naked mole rat from Kim Possible.
Like most people in 202018, that is accurate. That is really accurate. Can
you put that next to an image of him?
Ask Robert to put that next to Musk. It is accurate.
Hold on. All right, let's talk about your new guy.
Okay, first of all, he's not my new guy.
I can't wait for this guy to destroy democracy in 6 years.
He could. There's a logical path.
he's more invested in democracy lasting because he's going to live forever.
That is true. It behooves him for this not to fall apart.
Here, at what age though? Let's say this guy pulls this off, right? Let's say Bryan Johnson pulls it off and he starts living forever.
Yeah.
At what age do we just make him king? You know?
Yeah, there does come a point where you're just like, how
dude,
are you
if
still
you've been
here?
300.
Yeah, if you're still alive, like.
I don't know, you saw Civil World War II.
Civil World War II. I like that you just put them all together. Civil World War II.
Yeah.
Civil World Cold War II. So Bryan Johnson.
World War II, Vietnam.
It's just Nam. Civil World War Vietnam. Civil World War Nam 2. What's the Nam? Honestly, it just makes any war so cooler when you just call it Nam.
Way cooler when you call it Nam.
No, so Bryan Johnson, he was born in 77 in, can you guess?
Born in Connecticut.
Nope, Provo, Utah.
Is he a Mormon?
Born and raised Mormon, graduated Brigham Young University.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Grew up Mormon.
That's why he has so much money. Do you know how much money the Mormons have?
Lots.
For real though.
For real.
Yeah.
For real. The
And
Mormon
we
church
love
has a
the
lot.
Mormons, by the way. Listen, so we did this bit, not this bit. We made fun of the Bigfoot thing.
Yeah.
And it's not like Mormons teach that in the church.
Yeah,
That's just like a cult. That's like the same way that Christians are like, Ken Ham's a real scientist. You know, it's all fun and made fun of.
Yeah.
But like genuinely, the tour I did in Utah was really, really fun.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about them as a people. But the things I learned the most was that they just have all the money in the world.
They do.
Because they own like Marriott hotels. They own, what's all the stuff that the LDS church owns? A lot of stuff.
I mean, they have a giant stock market.
They own the
portfolio.
NFL. Do they own the NFL? I don't know.
I don't know if that's true.
Stuff out and being like, are you going to correct me?
I don't know what. You can say whatever you want right now.
Roger Goodell.
This is a podcast. You can say whatever you want.
Here's the thing about a lot of people don't know about
I'm pretty sure Roger
Goodell.
Goodell's actually Brigham Young.
Kane from
Roger Goodell is Abel. They reincarnated him to run the NFL.
Anyway.
He
grew up in Provo.
He grew up in Provo, grew up Mormon, went to Brigham Young University, and he was your stereotypical entrepreneur. He's in college and he starts a little cell phone company. He hires a couple other students to sell service plans and cell phones. He's making $300 a phone that they sell. I don't know if he was like subcontracted with someone, and he's got like this little group that's going out and selling all this stuff. He later founded a couple other businesses. One that kind of was like a proto Skype sort of situation. It's like a little software company that shut down in 2001. So it was like early video call situation. And then he had a real estate project in 2001.
It's crazy. I mean, I know we've people have joked about it and stuff already, but the way that Skype fumbled 2020,
unreal.
Why? Because I remember being in college 2013.
Yeah.
And like doing video calls and that like that's a known, you already had it.
It was huge.
You already had the hook.
Yeah. Shout out to Zoom though, because honestly, genuinely, look, we love Zoom, but honestly, we hate Zoom because it was objectively worse than Skype and FaceTime and Google Meet.
Yeah.
And we all were like,
Zoom.
Yeah, we should all be using Zoom. I don't know how they pulled that off. I genuinely
to this
can't
day
figure
don't
it
know.
out.
We do Google Meet for all of our stuff.
Yeah, but they just
because
came
Google
out
Meet
of nowhere.
is able to attach to the Google Calendar. You're able to send out the emails, same links. You can use all the emojis, and if you use code TILLN, you can get.
It's just wild to me that they came out. No one knew what Zoom was.
Yeah.
Before March 2020, and then all of a sudden it was like the biggest dog in the game, and I don't know how they pulled it off. It's crazy. I should figure it out. Anyways, so and then he started a real estate venture that didn't work out. So he had a few businesses that I shouldn't say didn't work out, were moderately successful but didn't last. And then in
what's his money from though? Because he's like rich.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Well, actually, we'll get to it right now. So in 2007, he started a company called Braintree, and so the company, just before this, I should back up a little bit. There's a story before this. He's in between ventures. He's kind of starting up random little startups here and there, but they're not making money. He's trying to get the startup off the ground. It's not making any money. So then he goes and he's like almost in panic mode where he's like, I can't survive off what's happening right now. I'm losing money in my startup. And so he's like, I need to get a part-time job.
Yeah.
So instead of going and looking for a normal part-time job, he goes and he looks up the 50 wealthiest people in his area and he emails their assistants. And he's like, hey, I'm looking for a part-time job. Do you guys need anything? Everyone ignored him. No one responded to any of his emails. So then he started going around trying to find.
Yeah, because that's not how you reach out to rich people. You know what gets rich people's attention? Writing it in blood on their driveway.
Yeah, you know what gets rich people's attention? Kidnapping the closest person to them in their life.
Honestly, though,
Yeah, then they'll talk.
this is actual advice. All right, you're looking for a job. You're like, how do I get ahead? Hustle, grind, kidnap the CEO's child.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, and make them have a video where they're like, please give him a job. You know, that's the rope in their mouth.
That's the rope. Yeah,
you gotta give them a job.
you gotta give this guy a job.
Alex is typing it as if we're gonna cut this out, and I want to make sure that you know we're not.
I asked this guy about his work experience, and it checks out. I also called all of his references, and he's really solid. We should hire him.
It says that he's proficient in Microsoft Office. He can write. He can use Excel, and
He has a VA from Brigham Young University.
he has a 74-day streak on Duolingo, which shows his consistency and commitment to becoming bilingual.
In his previous role, he managed a team of 20 to achieve all their KPIs.
He has a leadership degree from James River Leadership College. And those are just allegations. Don't pay attention to. I don't think we should have any attention to the raceless allegations from multiple women.
Yikes.
You know what? Sure, he stole all the money from everyone in his town, but when Jesus came to his house for lunch, he gave it all back. Hire Zacchaeus today.
He gave it all back.
He gave it all back after Jesus came to his house and showed Jesus is the ghost of Christmas future.
Jesus came to his house and showed him what the future would have been like.
And he was like, I gotta be there for that. And that's why he's trying to live forever.
Yeah. So he couldn't find any jobs working for wealthy people. So then he widened his scope and started looking for other
For poor people.
real jobs.
he reached out to the 50th wealthiest and the 50 poorest people.
Hey, you guys need any work done? What can you pay?
Yeah. Do you need any work done? That's to the wealthiest person. And then he sent an email to the assistant and was like, what about you?
Yeah, do you need
Any work?
work
Sorry,
done?
this isn't for the boss guy.
Yeah,
this is for you.
This is for you personally.
I fold clothes. I'll take out your trash.
Yeah. So he finds a company that was a payment processing company, like a credit card processor for stores. And he got his door-to-door sales job. And essentially, and the commission was really good. It was 100% of sales for the first month. And so it was a really good commission. And
For
it was
the first month.
Yeah.
You got to get going then.
Yeah. So you got to hustle. And so he's like, I just went door-to-door to different stores, tried to get a minute of the owner's time to convince them to switch to our credit card processor.
Sure.
And he said it was tough because I realized really quickly that every single person that had worked with one of these credit card processors had a bad negative association with them because they were all kind of grifters. They were taking, it wasn't a fair arrangement. They were taking a percentage off the top, and it was bad customer support, bad engagement, and it was always a negative experience. And so the second they found out who I was, they didn't want to hear anything from me. They were kind of over it, and it was a pain to switch and all that stuff. And so he created a pitch where he came in, he dropped $100 on the table, and he's like, hey, I'll give you this $100 if you don't want to work with me. Just listen to my pitch. And then if you say you don't want to work with me, then I'll give you $100. And people are like, okay, I'll hear what you have to say. And then they always were like, no, we don't want to work with you. Give me that $100.
Yeah.
No, basically, he just laid it all out and was like, here's what the problems everyone has. Here's why we're better. And he said, and nobody ever took the $100 from me. And he said, I started closing all these deals. And in that process, he started realizing.
Also, imagine I'll tell you what, right now, I would take the $100 just to spite this kid. Because this is some arrogant 22-year-old coming in and being like, I'll give you $100, but you got to listen to my pitch. And if you decide not to work with me, then you can keep the $100. And then when he's talking, I would just in my head be like, la, 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 la. Do you think I can't zone out for $100? Come on, man.
Hey, if you've been watching for a minute and you like this show, a great way to help out is by becoming a Patreon supporters. Our patrons get a ton of perks for their support. They get ad-free episodes a week early. They get a Discord with our hosts and producers. We do monthly hangouts. There's a way to get birthday messages on your birthday. There's a lot of great perks, but more than anything, you just help make sure that this show continues to happen forever. We never want to stop. We're going to keep doing this forever. If we have enough patron supporters, we can put our brains in those little vats and like have AI pretend it's us. And so like we can keep doing it long after we die. But that only happens if you support us on Patreon. So we appreciate your support. Thanks for your help. If you don't want to support, that's totally fine. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you watching this show. It doesn't matter what you're selling me. You could be selling me the secret to eternal life.
You could straight up
and I'll
be
take
like,
the $100.
Yeah, and I'd be like, give me that $100.
Yeah, I want you to lose $100 right now.
And then you know what? If I did like the product, I would have my wife call you the next day.
Yeah, and then make an order.
Yeah.
I'll take an order of your eternal life, please. $100?
Make that 2.
One eternal life.
I'd like 2 life sentences, please.
And so he's going door to door and he's doing this part-time. He's still building a startup on the side. After 3 months, he becomes the best-selling employee in the company. And he does the math and he realizes for this company, he's making $62,500 a month is what they're pulling in.
Yeah.
And so he's like, why am I not just doing this? And so he shuts down his other job and he starts Braintree in 2007, which is a payment processing company. And it was going to be an online payment processing company.
Sure.
And so this was PayPal already existed. PayPal actually already was acquired by eBay. And so like, this is like pretty late in the game. Authorize.net is out there. Like there's a bunch of payment processors out there that are doing it. But at this point, there hadn't really been any innovation since like the late 90s. Like they're still doing exactly what they had always been doing.
Sure.
And the models weren't great. They weren't great for businesses. And there wasn't a lot of, like most developers did not like working with any of these payment processors. Okay. So he wanted to make a processor that was something that developers would like to work with.
Yeah.
He did just that and grew this company to where it was a pretty successful payment processing company. And then they started going out, and what he focused on is he focused on all the Silicon Valley companies. He's like, we want to be your payment processor. Okay. And so all the startups, they got Uber, they got DoorDash. They were getting all these like companies that were early in their life, startup apps that were going to grow and be really big. He was going and getting them while they were still startups. So he's like, they're going to blow up some of these. And so he would just get all of the startups to use his product.
Okay.
Was his strategy. And so because some of them blew up, they ended up being highly valuable. Well, then in 2012, so really quickly, 5 years into the business, they've grown to the point where they're a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
And then he spots this startup in Silicon Valley that is kind of taking payment processing and giving it to the user, which was Venmo. And so he buys it for $26 million. A year later, he does a sale, Venmo and Braintree together, to PayPal for $800 million. 1 year later, pretty much flipped Venmo. It wasn't Braintree, it was Venmo. He flipped Venmo from $26 million to $800 million in 1 year.
We just got to get $26 million.
All I need is $26 million and the next Venmo and then the next PayPal to sell the next Venmo to that PayPal for $800 million. And then I'd be set. If I could just do that, then I'd be set.
Or you can join us on Patreon. Where we would make a grand total of $5 a month. Please help support the show. Tim has a kid on the way.
And so he's running this business.
Yeah.
And it's taking its toll on him.
Sure.
He is your stereotypical Silicon Valley like business startup guy who's
hard,
working
go fast. Yeah.
18 hours a day, getting no sleep, showing up at the office, feeling dead, but feeling like there's so much work to do, depressed. He's very outspoken about how depressed he was during this time.
I'll tell you right now, I have zero sympathy for people who have $800 million and are depressed.
Well,
Suck it
first
up.
of all, he doesn't have, this was while he was building Braintree. So the 5
million
years while he was building it, he was tanking and he was in a very dark place, actively thinking about ending his own life. And everything was kind of falling down around him. He walked away from his faith during this period. And because of him choosing to walk away from his faith,
Walked away from his community.
yeah, he walked away from his entire community. His wife and kids left because they couldn't be together anymore because of that decision. And he...
That's why he's trying to live forever. He doesn't want to face God.
feels guilty.
He's like, I never want to see that guy.
The change... Hold on. I need to show you a picture of him from this era. Have you ever seen his before?
No.
It is kind of unreal to see what he used to look like.
Okay.
So here he is when he was running Braintree. Isn't that crazy? And so he was very unhealthy. He talked about how he never slept. He never exercised. All he did every day was work. He was depressed. He was in a very bad mental state. And he just ate whatever was quickest and easiest to eat. And so he was eating poorly. He was very unhealthy. He felt terrible. And so he sells PayPal, and now he's got enough money to do whatever he wants with his time. And so he says, okay, I want to do something like a lot of these billionaire types do.
That changes the world.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so he spent some time trying to think about what that's going to be. And then
Everyone wants to change the world. All right. Maybe just shut up. Get out of the way. Maybe take that wealth you've accumulated and try to spread that around a little bit.
maybe you could change the world by changing some people's world, you know?
I'll say I can change the world, for one.
Yeah.
You could give me
You can support us on Patreon.
$26 million.
And I bet you could then sell me in a couple of years.
I bet you could flip me for $800 million.
So he spends a couple of years getting healthy. He's like, I don't have to work this many hours anymore. And so he gets a personal trainer. He starts eating better.
But I still don't have a wife and kids.
Yeah.
So I got plenty of time to do nothing.
He starts another company. That does all right. It's like one of those, what do you call it? Like brain computer interfaces companies.
Oh, okay.
Starts that goes all right. And then I think he sold it in 2020, not for anywhere near, still a ton of money, like 50 million, I think, but not anywhere near what the last one was. And so now he's healthy at this point. And in 2021, he was like, I am getting healthy, and there's all this science coming out about anti-aging stuff, and it's happening for rats and stuff. And he's like, I wonder if it could happen for me and stuff. And so
all this stuff. Yeah, man, there's just a lot of stuff about mice and stuff. And I'm wondering, maybe it could happen for me and stuff. And so I hired a documentary crew and stuff.
Yeah. So what he did, he didn't even hire the documentary crew. What he did, so his eldest son decided that he wanted to come live with him instead. He's like, I'm not so sure about the Mormon church either, and I kind of miss my dad. I'm going to go live with him. And I kind of miss living with a billionaire. Mom's pretty poor.
Mom's pretty poor. The only thing I'll miss is the nanny who... to be real, has gotten pretty ripped the past couple of years.
Our nanny is
freaking jacked, dude. She used to be a little overweight, and now she's like
she's like so jacked.
Ripped.
Yeah, she used to talk about how sad she was, but now she's like, I never want to die.
Okay, so imagine that you're Mrs. Doubtfire your kids, and the only thing you talk about is how sad you are. Oh, I'm so sad all the time. That really sucks, Mrs. Doubtfire. Yes, it's very hard to be me. And then like a couple of years later, freaking Mrs. Doubtfire is like just getting the reps in.
Curling every day.
You're like, what's up? I'm better.
I'm never gonna die.
I'm never gonna die.
I used to wish I'd die. No, I'm never gonna die.
You look at yourself in the mirror like, don't die.
Don't die.
Don't die.
Oh, these are my positive affirmations.
Death. Lose.
And so what he does is he starts working on what he calls Project Blueprint. And so it's the blueprint to a healthy life.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like 3 phases, or I think he calls them protocols.
Here's the 3 elements of my Live Forever blueprint.
Yeah, what are they? You map it out for me. Map out what you think 3 elements of a Live Forever blueprint.
Abundance mindset.
There you go. Good start. No, so it starts with the first protocol is what we would typically think of. It's like stop eating such garbage.
Don't die.
Don't eat a bunch of garbage.
Well, first step is to don't do anything dangerous.
Yeah, don't do something that might kill you. No, the first step was get rid of all the trans fats in your diet and like just having what we would call a normal healthy diet, and then also start exercising and working on your fitness. That's step 1. Super normal. All of us can get behind that. Step 2 is like vitamins and supplements. And so there's a bunch of vitamins and supplements, a vitamin and supplement routine to get into. Again, a little intense, but also not crazy, pretty normal.
Crazy, he says. That was wild. He looked me in the eye and did that.
Step 3 is where things get insane.
Yeah.
Step 3 is where he has like the wake up at 4 a.m. and turn on a sun lamp in your face and get like 5 minutes of sunlight in your face. I think he said 8:30, if I remember right, every night. So he's like 8:30 every night, up at 4. He tracks his sleep, and it's really interesting in the documentary. He's like, this is my first week where I hit 100% of my sleep goals. He's like, I slept
This is the
perfect.
first week where I've hit 100% of my sleep goals. If someone says to you they have sleep goals, no one. Here's what I'm saying. People who have sleep goals don't have a counselor.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he does actually. And that's part of it. Mental health is part of living forever.
Have sleep goals, don't have a counselor who's telling them the truth.
So
That's pretty fair.
and then in there you have some hokey stuff like the get the sun in your eyes for like 5 minutes when you first wake up.
It's not hokey, I do it every day.
And then you've got some pretty extreme things like blood transfusions.
Why I don't wake up till 7 when the sun's up. You think about that, Brian?
Yeah. If you wake up,
Hey, Brian, you idiot!
yeah, wake up and
Why
look at
don't
the
you just
actual sun.
Sleep until the sun is up.
Sleep a little more and get some actual sun. But yeah, and then this step 3 is where it's like he has specific times of the day where he's supposed to eat, and then like the meals are prepped and planned for him to eat those meals. He's got like 90 supplements he's taking in the morning.
Yeah, but he's also got like a chef that makes all the stuff for him, So
yeah,
it's not
he's got
like,
the ability to pay for all of this. Yeah, but everything in his life. At step 3, everything in anyone who's doing this, at step 3, everything in your life is an algorithm. When you're going to bed, when you're waking up, when you're working out, what workouts you're doing, what you're eating, every single thing comes down to an algorithm where you're putting in all the data of your BMI and the diet you're eating and the workouts you're doing, and it's spitting out what you're supposed to do as a result. That's interesting. I do know. So I do know he has an assistant.
Probably 2 trainers.
I do know he has an assistant who's kind of like running his life.
Yeah.
What else I know is he does have a longevity expert, and so this is a PhD scientist who appears to live somewhere else, like in the UK or something.
Sure.
And he does video consultations with him, and he's like helping coach him through longevity. And this is a real scientist, and it's very interesting watching him talk because he's like, Brian is the best guinea pig, and so he's like I'm just running science experiments on him because he's open to it, and there's no other human you can run these sorts of experiments on.
Great.
And so he's just like all the stuff that we've been doing typically like mice, like I get to do on him.
Translucent, and then I think in another couple of months he'll start glowing in the dark is what I'm hoping.
Well, here's where the scandal of him came out and why he got famous, because there was an experiment that was conducted where there was an old mouse and the mouse's child
Blood transfusion.
Yeah, what they did, this is crazy what they did to the mice. I don't know where they did this, but they couldn't have done it here. I don't think this would have been legal in the States. They literally just connected their veins together, their arteries together. So they would be like one organism and the blood would circulate between the two of them. And having that blood circulate into the elder reverse a lot of the effects on aging of the internal organs of the elder mouse. And so he heard about that and he was like, oh, that's interesting.
Like, that's great. I've got a child.
Well, actually, it wasn't as that. This makes it sound bad.
You can go live with your dad. But if you do, you have to give him your blood.
That makes it sound insane because what actually happened was his dad.
That makes it sound insane. Unlike reality.
No. Let me tell you the story. Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what happened.
No. You're making it sound like he's crazy. He's just taking his kid's blood and putting it in his own blood veins.
His own blood veins. No, his dad is like late 80s. His dad is old and sick. He is like, I'm very, very healthy. And so he called his dad and was like, hey, I want to do this for you. He's
Dad,
like, I want to give you my blood.
This Christmas, you're getting a pint of blood.
You open it's wrapped.
Hey, stop. Let's get out of that.
You open it, it's squishy.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. Wanted to let you know real quick, we have an email list and it's not like hey, we're going to send you our merch and new episodes all the time. We actually give you updates on these stories as we find out about them. So a lot of our episodes we've done a couple years ago now have updates, or the person the topic was about passed away or was caught by the police, or whatever updates we can find on episodes that we've done. We want to let you know about it so that our episodes just aren't, out there out of date. It's a really fun way to keep learning new information. And then every once in a while, we let you know about new events coming up or new episodes. And it's just a way to help us keep spreading this show. To join that email list, you can text TILLN to 66866, or there's a link in the description of this episode, or you can just go to TILLN.com. It's very easy to join this email list. It's everywhere. It's actually really hard to not join it. So... that sucks.
So he calls his dad and he's like, I want to do this for you. And so
pretzels.
Him and Bryan and Bryan's son, who, first of all, Bryan's son's name is Talmadge.
Yeah.
That's his son's name.
Sounds like a town in RuneScape.
So Bryan's son Talmadge comes to him and was like, hey, I know you're doing that for Grandpa. He's like, I want to do it for you too.
It's more ridiculous that your name is Bryan. Like it's different if your name is freaking
also insane.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're a normal
Earhart
and you named your kid
Talmadge, but it's like, oh yeah, my mom Jennifer and my dad Bryan, they named me Talmadge.
So Talmadge comes to Bryan when he finds out that
this is my brother Draenor
is doing this for
my sister Varrock.
Varrock is insane. So Bryan,
real ones know.
So Talmadge, what is Varrock?
I look at Alex like he was one of us. He wasn't.
Is that RuneScape? Is that all RuneScape stuff?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So the only RuneScape thing I remember. Never mind.
And our dog Talisman.
So Talmadge comes to Bryan, and Bryan's like, he's like, Bryan, Dad, I love what you're doing for Grandpa. And then he's like, I want to do the same thing for you. So what they do is they plan this trip. I think it was to Miami. They do this whole trip to Miami, and they do the.
I love what you're doing for your dad. Please take my blood.
They hold on. I need to find this picture. They do a photo shoot when they go, and the photo shoot that they do.
Is the one where they're shirtless and they're like, yeah, look.
Yeah. Well, they're wearing, I guess they also took shirtless photos. They went to a golf course and they took the photos together.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
That's what I'm saying. And also, like, here's the thing. Look at the dad in this, right? Okay, the dad didn't want to do this.
No, he did, because he knows he's getting healthy. He didn't want to do the photo shoot.
What I'm
he
saying,
didn't want to do
that's
the
what I'm
photo
saying.
shoot.
The dad is like, but if your kid who's worth $800 million.
It's like, I'm going to give you a pint of my blood, but you got to take these photos.
You're like, I don't know if I want that. and your kid is like, well, do you want to keep living in the nursing home you're living in, or do you want to move into this crappy one?
Yeah.
You're like, well, I guess I'll keep doing this.
I guess I'll do the weird photo shoot. So yeah, they do the photo shoot, and then they do the blood transfusion, and they've been doing this for years, I believe, just transferring their blood to each other. And I know it sounds insane, but it's an interesting thing because it's not hard to donate some of your blood to one of your family members who's sick, and it is something that it does actually help them. And so, I don't know. This sounds insane. It sounds crazy. And for Talmadge to Bryan is weird because Bryan doesn't need it. For Bryan to his dad, it's like, that's really like, it's like giving a kidney to someone, you know? It's like, maybe not like giving a kidney because that's like a bigger thing. Sure. But it's like you're sacrificing something of yours to help someone else. What you're about to shoot me down. What are you going to say?
No, I'm just listening to you.
I think it's a kind thing to do because essentially it's a plasma donation. You're donating plasma to your father so that way he can be healthier. And I don't think that's a weird thing. Everyone acts like it's such a weird thing. I don't think that's that weird of a thing. Okay. It's just weird because it's blood.
Sure.
And people are weirded out by blood.
Yeah.
And it's weird because they took the pictures.
I was going to say, I don't think if I give my dad a kidney, I'm not going to be like, all right, but before we do that, remember that lady who took my senior pictures? Where's Molly?
Can Molly come take a picture? Once we get them out, let's get both our kidneys out and let's take a photo shoot. Let's take a photo shoot
of me handing you a kidney.
And let's get one where you're like throwing your kidney over your shoulder.
Don't worry, it's not a real kidney. It's just a piece of raw chicken with some ketchup on it. And we're like,
kidney. I'm giving up my kidney.
Yeah.
Then we put the raw chicken in by mistake. They hooked it up and
then we find out that really that's what it was all along. That actually worked.
The kidney is just a raw chicken.
You can replace all of your organs with chicken breasts?
With raw chicken. I'll take the half chicken, please.
I'm going to run to Costco real quick. I'm going to buy frozen chicken breasts in bulk. I got to
give myself some lungs.
And then when I'm in line, I'm going to be like, I'm going to live forever. He's got
having a party, something like that. Putting all these inside me. That's what people typically do. They eat them, right?
That's not what I'm inside.
Surgically,
I'm surgically placing these inside myself.
Take everything out and put in some chicken. Make sure you take the bones out, though.
Okay.
Gotta debone that chicken before you put it in my chest.
I hate this.
No, I think it's kind of a beautiful thing.
That's fine. You get it. Go ahead. Move on with the story. Then they're doing blood transfusions. Yeah. That's okay. What was the findings of it though? Did it work?
I actually don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I have no idea. They're still doing it, so I'm assuming there's been some sort of.
How often they do it?
I don't know how often they do it. That's
what I'm saying. If it's every morning, that's weird.
It's not every morning. No, it's not every morning. It's like maybe once a year.
Okay.
But he does have a group of people, of doctors and different people who are coming in, and they are doing different sorts of procedures on him almost daily. The majority of what they're doing, though, is tests to see where he's at on a bunch of different metrics.
Right.
He's at 0% body fat. He is genuinely yoked, like absolutely yoked. But he does also look sick at the same time.
Yeah, he looks...
Like, he doesn't look good, but he's also ripped. And he's, like, very, very fit. He's doing incredible workouts, like, difficult workouts. And he seems to be in a good spot. There's a video of him, though, with a fitness influencer. And he's showing him what he usually does for, like, dinner. And he's like, here's my typical dinner. And the fitness influencer is like, are you hungry? When he sees it. And he's like, always.
Starving all the time.
I'm so hungry. Don't ask me about it.
But if I go to 0.5 body percent, then my son shoots me. You said shoots like it's happened.
Yeah, he's done it. What's interesting is he's now building a community of people. It's the Don't Die community. And
great.
And so the community are people who are similar to him, like trying to make a lot of these changes to their life to be healthier people. And it's interesting because when you're on that first level, great, love this community. Even the second level, little extreme. Some of that stuff's not really proven. Some of that stuff's not really FDA approved. A little sketchy. I don't know. Step 3 is insane. But at the end of the day, I do think that there's something here of like traditional medicine is treatments. You're treating an existing condition. You're not doing like preventative maintenance. What he's trying to do is he's trying to help people just take better care of their bodies so that way they don't need to do the treatments.
Right.
And so it's like, stop doing the stuff that's actively hurting you. Stop doing the stuff that's actively harming you. Do some stuff that's going to keep you healthy.
Like these energy drinks that we drink called X Energy, or these supplements that we sell called...
What is really interesting is he's got a YouTube channel now. Back the story up. He blew up after this transfusion thing. I think it was Times covered the story. Blew up, did the press circuit, was on every morning talk show. Everyone thought it was the craziest thing in the world. People were calling him a vampire. People were like calling him...
he looks like a robot vampire. Yeah.
He does look like a robot vampire.
Yes, I'm going to live forever.
Yeah. I mean, he's your stereotypical Silicon Valley guy too. So like he talks like that. He's very like rigid. Everything he does is a system and algorithm.
Anybody can do this with a team of 12 doctors, 4 personal trainers, a private chef.
He has spent millions on this.
And if you just get divorced and lose custody of your kids, anything's possible.
Here's what he's not saying.
That's the message of our podcast. If you get divorced and lose custody of your kids, your dreams are wide open.
He's not saying anyone can do it. What he's saying is I'm going to go out and try all this stuff that all the researchers are studying, but they can't get approval to do human studies. I'm going to be the human study, and we're going to find out what actually works. And he's like, I'm trying everything. And he's like, I'm going to tell you what's working. And so he's got videos on his YouTube channel now. Now his YouTube channel's got like 1.5 million views. And it's actually really interesting because he reviews a lot of these supplements, and he actually will tell you, he says, okay, I take this supplement. Here's the effect it has. I recommend or I don't recommend. And so a specific supplement that may or may not have sponsored this podcast in the past, he straight up was like, this is a scam. Don't use this one.
Interesting.
And so like, he's got like stuff that he recommends, stuff that he doesn't recommend. So it's very interesting to see, like, he's not just
as a person who's done greens though now. The ones that sponsored us were terrible.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, he will come out and he will say whether or not something's legit or not. And so but he does, like most influencers, have his own links to everything, and he does have sponsored content. But it does seem, and I guess there's no way to know for sure, but it does seem like he's only doing these sponsorships with things that he actually uses and actually does recommend.
Right.
And now he's got this whole community, and they're doing meetups now. And so they're doing meetups. They're going on walks in Los Angeles. You should do one, actually. That would be pretty great. That would be pretty funny. That'd be pretty funny if you join the Don't Die community. Here's the thing. They are actively calling themselves a cult. In the documentary, his dad...
But it's like a life cult? Is that what they call it? They call it a life cult, don't they?
No, they just call it a cult. His son was like, Dad, you're kind of starting a cult, right? And he went, liked that.
That was the plan, son.
He really liked that. So now they're like, welcome to the cult.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, now they've got a community of people. It started out with like the first time they did it, like 15 people showed up. And now when they do it in Los Angeles, like 400 people show up for them to just like walk in the hills.
Crazy.
And now it's happening in Chicago and New York and...
I don't need that.
And it's happening.
I don't need to be around a bunch of weird people. That's like the reason I go on walks is to not be the weirds.
It's to not be weird. Yeah, that's fair.
To not be near the weirds.
Yeah. But here's the thing. What he's doing is getting a lot of people who very much seem like they probably wouldn't be healthy if it wasn't for him. Like, they wouldn't be doing these health things. They wouldn't be conscious of what they're eating. They probably wouldn't be like active and fit if they didn't find this guy. And so I do think he's doing something that's good for a lot of people.
Sure.
And I do think it's interesting, the idea of saying, hey, most of modern medicine is how do we treat the symptoms of the condition you have? And instead of saying, okay, how do we prevent the condition?
Right.
And so he's looking at a lot of, honestly, unhealthy behaviors we have as a culture and saying, let's get rid of those unhealthy behaviors and replace them with healthy behaviors and find ways to make it like a reasonable lifestyle. For him, unreasonable lifestyle for the vast majority of us. And I think he recognizes that, but he's trying to figure out ways to make that possible. I like his mission. I do like his mission. Is he extreme? 100%. Is he really weird? Yes. Does he look like a wet gecko? Yes. Has he taken it too far? Probably. Did he name his kid Talmadge? And is that really weird? Yes.
Here's what I love. If you just clip the last like 20 seconds, we could be talking about anybody in Silicon Valley.
So, yeah, I guess. Anyways. Also,
or the lead pastor of one of those weird churches.
Also, it's a very similar thing to Bert Kreischer, where it's like, gosh, this dude loves his kids so much. It's like hard not to like him.
Yeah.
It's like because like he's a lot of this has been. He's like, I miss so much time with my kids, and he's like,
and
I
now
want as much back.
I
as
am
possible.
literally connected by the veins to my child.
Well, his dad too.
Isn't that right?
Yes, Dad.
Yes, Dad. Doesn't even have a body anymore. He's just a blood
He's just a sack.
Thanks,
All right, let's
Dad.
talk about something else. It looks like the freaking weird
No, but it's the
skeleton
same thing
from
with his dad
SpongeBob.
because his dad was a drunk. His dad walked out on them. His dad went to jail,
Yeah.
and so his dad wasn't present. And so
He's like, this whole project is just really
Well,
when
he's-
you think about it, actually, now that we're at the end of this documentary, I apologize because I just now realized that all of these efforts were just an effort to get close to my dad and my son. And
and it
I
cost
guess
me
I
millions.
could have just
I guess I could have just
done
talked to
that.
them. I guess I could have just had a conversation about how I felt.
So sorry,
Men will do
sorry
anything to
I
not talk
just
about their
had that epiphany,
feelings.
but
Men will spend $5 million and trade blood with other people to not talk about their feelings. No, but
if you want to talk about your feelings,
you can do that on our Patreon. Is that what you're doing?
we have a
This is
thoughts
a
and prayers
Patreon.
channel on our Discord available for our members.
If no one listens to you, you can pay for us to listen to you.
That's what a counselor is. If you don't have anybody to talk to, you can pay someone to listen
You
to
can
you.
pay someone to talk to
That's
you.
what counseling is.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so that's Bryan Johnson. I guess we've said enough about him. I am cautiously a fan. I am. I'm cautiously a fan. I don't know very much about him yet. So who knows? Something could change. I have been musked before. And so I'm willing to say I could be wrong about this.
All right.
But so far, I think he gets a lot of flack because he does seem weird. He is weird.
We're going to start
Well,
selling
I
merch that just says,
appreciate it.
don't fiddle off.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Hey, if you like that episode, thanks so much for joining us for Things I Learned Last Night. We have a bunch of other episodes you can check out, including this one about Count Saint Germain, a real-life vampire in the New Orleans who did live forever, and he didn't have to look freaky doing it. Well, at least we don't know that, or not, you know? If you want next week's episode right now, you can join us on our membership. It's an opportunity to support the show, but it also just, you get episodes early, you get access to a Discord, you get ad-free content. It's a really good time, and it helps us to produce this show and give you more episodes. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching our show. We'll see you next week on Things I Learned Last Night.